Hey guys, Lord here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Collectible Atrocitus Wave Black Lantern Batman. Now before we get into it here, let's first take a look-see at both the front and the back of the packaging. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now before we get into the meat and taters of this review, Black Lantern Batman does come with a collectible trading card featuring a heavily photoshopped image of the figure in question. I already mentioned this in the Deathstorm video yesterday, but I would have liked to have seen some artwork from the Blackest Night comic on this particular set of collectible trading cards, because in my opinion, it's some of the best artwork that modern DC Comics has to offer. But not to beat a dead horse, I'm hoping to avoid discussing this any further in the rest of the Black Lantern videos I have planned for this week, but we'll see how that goes, I guess. That said, as always, there's of course a bio on the back that you can pause and read at your own leisure. That said, also, as I said before in the Deathstorm video from yesterday, this version of Batman is more convoluted than some, because it is not the Bruce Wayne we all know and love. No, in fact, it is a clone of the Bruce Wayne we all know and love, who went up against Darkseid and got his shit promptly wrecked, because as big of a Batman fan as I am, I know damn well that the Dark Knight is no match for the Lord of Apocalypse, okay? In fact, I doubt there are a whole heck of a lot of heroes who could go toe-to-toe with Darkseid and live to tell the tale. So let's just get that out of the way right quick before we mention the fact that Black Hand, the Herald of Necron, resurrects this version of Batman from beyond the grave, and he is pretty much responsible for a majority of the remaining members of the Black Lantern Corps, like Deathstorm and the like. That said, how he changes them into Black Lanterns, well, he vomits Black Lantern rings. And as much as I would have liked an effect piece to, replicate that, I do appreciate the open mouth head sculpt. So maybe a third-party 3D printer out there can maybe hook up an effect piece for this guy. I don't know, only time will tell, but with that being said, taking a closer look at the Black Lantern Batman, he of course comes with a McFarlane Toys hockey puck display stand that we're used to seeing in this line. Sure, we'll see it a whole heck of a lot more because they're cheap to make, let's be honest. Don't think I've ever mentioned that before. But looking at this guy, I do not have the old DC Direct / Collectibles version of this character, but I can say wholeheartedly that unlike Deathstorm, this one appears to be a little bit more comic accurate. That said, I probably wouldn't have cared, because at the end of the day, it's a freaking zombie Batman, and that's freaking badass. So, with that said, articulation on this guy, he's got a double ball peg in the head, which, eat your heart out, everyone sucking the disc hinge dick. You can look up just fine. You can look down just fine. Double ball pegs are the way of the future, in my opinion. You can also tilt. Look at that. Way more tilt than a freaking lollipop neck, I must admit. So yeah. And look at that face. Freaking terrifying. I can just see the Black Lantern rings coming out of that mouth. Face only a dead mother could love. That said, his shoulders can go out to the side, back down, forward and back. He does have the butterfly in there, but pretty hindered because of the very Spawn-esque cape. I mean, look at this thing. It's got the points on top. We all know where this was inspired from. Okay, let's be honest with ourselves. He also has a bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. Not as clean as Deathstorm's, I will say. I think the top one might be a little bit cleaner than the bottom. Let's see. Yeah, I would say the top one's a little bit cleaner than the bottom, but it is what it is. At least it's on the back. And then, of course, he has the ball hinge wrists. Swivel at the top, hinge in the middle, swivel at the bottom. He's got these nice open hands. Now, the hands are actually easy to remove on this guy, so, I guess it would have been nice to get some fists, but I'm not complaining because, to be honest with you, it's the zombie Batman figure I'm displaying with the zombie hands. I can't lie. That said, his diaphragm joint can crunch that far forward, that far back. It can rotate side to side, tilt side to side. It's butter smooth but not loose, so I'm okay with that. That said, the waist is pretty hindered because of the belt. You're not going to get a whole lot out of that. His hips can kick forward pretty well, actually. I'm quite impressed by that. Kick out. Not too bad. He's got a thigh quiver in there, but nothing crazy. His diaper has a tendency to get stuck also, so be careful with that. Said he's got double knee. A little bit better than Deathstorm's, I think. Maybe about the same. He's got the same kind of chunk missing on the one side of his leg there. It's kind of weird, but it is what it is. I guess if anyone's going to have chunks missing out of him, it's going to be a zombie, right? Said he does have the ankle balls that swivel at the top, hinge in the middle, rocker on the bottom. He's got toe joints. One's tight, one isn't. It is what it is. Then he's got peg holes at the bottom of the feet for the hockey puck display stand. And that is Black Lantern Batman in a nutshell. I think he's got the ring on this side, if I'm not mistaken. He's got it on one of his fingers. I know it's there. I just can't remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the right hand. I think it's on there. It's very small, so it's hard to see, but that's what she said. But it's nice that it's there. So, while I don't have the old Black Lantern Batman from DC Direct / Collectibles, not sure what they were calling themselves at that time. I think that might have been just before they changed to DC Collectibles. And after their quality started going to shit, if you were curious about that. But, while I may not have that old figure, I'm perfectly happy with this one. I don't feel the need to rush out and buy that old one right away, though I would like to own it at some point, because it's a really well done figure as far as the sculpt and paint goes. And while McFarlane Toys nails articulation as far as giving you a lot of points, and even sculpt to an extent, their paint is a little lacking here and there, and this guy is no exception to that rule. Same with Deathstorm. So with that being said, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is Black Lantern Batman alongside the other Black Lantern figures from the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line, who I've been taking a look at on this channel this past week for my Halloween Spooktacular. We have Deathstorm, who I took a look at yesterday. Please check that out if you haven't already. Would really appreciate it if you did. And the Black Lantern Superman, who we will be taking a look at tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And as I said before in the Deathstorm video from yesterday, I really dig how these three look together and think they scale quite nicely. But for those of you who may have missed it, you will need all three of these Black Lantern figures and Kyle Rayner to complete the Collectible Atrocitus figure. But in all honesty, that should be pretty self-explanatory at this point. And last but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythical Agents, Brother Mandibulus, Living Spawn, who as usual, towers over everyone. And I don't know about you guys, but I would love to see a modern update to a Zombie Spawn figure. That would be really cool. So with that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and while Black Lantern Batman here may not be my favorite figure from the Collectible Atrocitus wave, nor is he my favorite of the Black Lantern figures I am taking a look at on this channel this week for my Halloween Spooktacular, don't let that sell you short on this figure. He is still, in my opinion, one of the best Batman variants in the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line, not only for this year, but in the line's entirety. Because if there's one thing I really like about this line is all the crazy Batman variants we've gotten throughout its existence. This guy is right up there with Batrocitus and the infected Batman for me, because he's just so crazy looking. It's something I didn't anticipate adding to my collection anytime soon, but I'm really glad that I did. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you are so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. If you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is, especially when the Blackest Night story arc, it's good, but man, is it confusing. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.